It's the Growler with PD&Jay. Here to analyze for you today. From Growler Bet to Jay's got stats. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Growler Podcast.
All right. Welcome to the latest edition of PD&Jay on the Growler. Paul Eater Jr. and Jay Morrison here with you on a Tuesday, coming off of the Bengals loss in Pittsburgh. We're back. We survived. You got us home in an absurd amount of time, Jay.
You're welcome.
Shout out to all of the sheriffs and state highway patrol folks that decided not to be on the road Sunday night as you got us home through Ohio.
I never saw a single one.
I
mean, it was great. It was an easy drive. I even missed an exit, and we still made great time.
An incredible time was made. Maybe more on that later on our trip to Pittsburgh. But there's a lot of stuff that you guys have on your minds and that we have to address. And so we're going to try to get into it all. Mo is going to join us as he always does. We're going to talk about the Jamar Chase suspension pending appeal and some of the fallout and, you know, a lot of the tenor of the conversation around that, I think, is interesting. I have a column up on The Athletic now about that. If you want to go check that out, we're going to talk about a really interesting press conference from Zach Taylor yesterday and bring you a couple of clips of that. We're going to try to have some fun in here because it's just, you guys, it's a dark place. We're just living in the consistent darkness. We're going to try to have some fun with Mo. I thought, Jay, that I would have us rank the most disrespectful things you can do to a human being without injuring them. And I've kind of compiled a list, and I know that you have your own. We'll see what Mo thinks on this. He said he was fully prepared to discuss this. So we're going to have some fun, try to have some fun with that later on, because it can't just be all doom and gloom.
No.
It's raining outside. It's dark. The Bengals have lost 7 of 8. Everybody wants everybody gone. People are yelling at us. It's that time of year. We're going to try to find a way to have some fun.
Actually, 2 of the things on my list I've done to people, and I don't consider myself a disrespectful person, but I have some unproud moments in the past that I had to bring back up.
Okay, so we will have that. You guys did a great job with the Growler bet. There was perhaps a winner this week, so we'll get into those results. Jay informed me before we came on he has, quote, an orgy of stats, which I just can't wait to bring those to you. We'll have ARBIES, all the things that you come to expect from us. Before we get into everything, I do want to remind everybody about our next live show, which is going to be before the Ravens game on December 14th. That's a 1:00 kick right now. And so we're going to go at 10 down at BetMGM, but we will not be down there hanging before the New England game. It's an off week for us for the live show on that one. But you should still go down there because it's an awesome place to go hang before a game. They have all your exclusive. You got booths going on. You have a good time, delicious drinks, good folks, great location. BetMGM is just such an awesome spot. And we had the show down there in the VIP room. It was fantastic. We had a great time. Thanks again to everybody that came out for that. If you're thinking about wanting a special place to go watch a window of games or a big college football Saturday or a UFC fight or something like that, you should hit them up about the VIP room because it is an awesome place to go watch an event where really when there's a bunch of stuff going on, because all the different TVs, your own little setup there. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I mean, I would love to do it again. Maybe we do it for the playoffs because we're not going to be busy.
Yeah, we'll have time. It'll be sort of like a bye week. I hear you. I like that. A playoff watch along. We had sort of like an end of season party in there last year for that Bills Ravens game, and I know I had a great time. I thought it was really cool. So maybe we do that again. Maybe if people think they would show up, if we can get the same same amount of people that wanted to come to that last one, then we'll do it again. We'll fire it up again. All right. Let's get to some news here. This isn't going to be like all about injuries, but we'll tick through a few of them. Cam Taylor-Britt, likely going to need surgery, according to Zach Taylor, for a Liz Frank injury in his foot. So that appears he's probably out for the year, ending a season of ups and downs. He seemed to be maybe on the rise, but now he will head into free agency. Right? We don't know if we'll ever see Cam Taylor-Britt with the Bengals again. If they liked the direction he was going, what he will cost in terms of how much interest there would even be in free agency for him. But man, what an interesting ride it has been for CTB.
Yeah, and it literal ride yesterday. He was in a boot and on a knee scooter, and it's really unfortunate for him because he has had the up and down. That's not what you want to do in a contract year anyhow, and then to have it end early, I think the injury is going to affect what he can possibly get on the open market. And just I know people like to bang on him for his play, but he is a really good dude, a really fun guy to be around, and just hope for the best for him moving forward.
Yeah, we'll see. A really fascinating case that we'll spend some time diving into when we get into that January, February, March time of year, evaluating what free agency is going to look like and if they still want to be in the Cam Taylor-Britt business. That's a hard one to say. Cam Taylor-Britt business here in Cincinnati. Sounds like Joe Flacco is fine. I know there was some concern after he took the hit from TJ Watt in the game that maybe he would be down this week or questionable, or how's he doing? Zach Taylor suggesting that no issue with Joe Flacco coming out of the game. Trey Hendrickson already doubtful. You should have seen that one coming. We'll see what happens for him going forward, but continues to be just immediately doubtful on Monday is where that stands. The Joe Burrow return is progressing. He was in 7-on-7 last week, and they're going to see about working him into some 11-on-11 this week is sort of the next step in a potential progression for him attempting to come back. I don't know. We'll see. They keep saying that record is not going to have anything to do with whether he comes back. The quote sort of being he wants to play. And if he can play and not compromise himself, I think that's perhaps the thought of the organization. But it's, this is one that isn't going to be just decided because Burrow says so. This is going to have to get cleared all the way to the corner office.
Yeah, and I would think the coaching staff would want him to play too. We got plenty of time to talk about hot seats and all that, but they need to win games. And he gives you the best chance to do that.
And they are wanting to prove that they are always trying to win games. The question is he compromising or jeopardizing getting himself hurt again, whether it be the toe, whether it be an inability to move so he could avoid maybe taking other hits, whatever that is, they'll have to figure out what that decision is when the time comes. You know what I want to do? I have the RPB kind of connects to both of those this week. So let's go in early on the RPB because I think it's good to talk about Hendrickson, talk about Burrow, and talk about what's next for the Bengals here. We can do it in a fantastic RPB that came in. Run, Pass, or Boot is brought to you, of course, by our guy Josh at Camargo Insurance. If you have an RPB that you want us to read, you want to know the question, send it to Josh at camargoinsurance.com. If you work with Josh, you are getting the true concierge experience. It's one-on-one help from somebody who gets it. And he's not just an average agent. He's a certified insurance and risk professional who helps business owners protect what they've built and plan for what's next. So if you have a small business, you can reach out to Josh to assure peace of mind that you have the best coverage available. And he works with the best carriers in the industry, so he can find the perfect coverage for your home, auto, business, or life insurance needs. He empowers you to live your best life with confidence, knowing that, hey, your coverage actually makes sense. And as you guys know by now, the clock is ticking. You got to get in. He is giving back to the Growl Pals 2 tickets to Bengals Ravens All you got to do is request that free no obligation quote. No policy purchase is necessary to enter or win. And then you're in for a chance to go win some seats and make sure that your coverage makes sense. You can find it in the show notes, or just go to thegrowlerpodcast.com and click that you want to win tickets on the Camargo insurance button. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, judge and jury of RPB, Josh at Camargo. Hit him up, Josh at CamargoInsurance.com. Great one this week. Bringing it in now because I think it really connects the conference we're just having. Came from Meredith H. Highest number, Jay. What will be the highest number the rest of the season? Burrow games played, Trey Hendrickson games played, Bengals wins.
That is a really good one. For what we were saying before, I think you have to go Burrow games played. There's 7 left. He's not going to play this week. I still think Baltimore is doubtful, so possibility of the final 5. Yeah, I'll run with that. I don't see them winning 5 games, that's for sure. And I still feel like we may have seen the last of Trey Hendrickson. May have seen the last of Cam Taylor-Britt in a Bengals uniform. We may see the last of Trey Hendrickson in a Bengals uniform. I think he hasn't said it, obviously, but I think win-loss record does have an impact on whether we see that guy again. So I'll pass on the wins. There's some winnable games at the end of the year, those final 3. And then I'll boot Trey Hendrickson. I just don't have a lot of faith that we're going to see him again the rest of this year.
Yeah, mine is similar. I do think Burrow plays.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, that is certainly not decided. It's not official. And, we know that record. I just think I think it'll be good enough where he can go out there and play. He wants to. They want to win games regardless of record. The Bengals as an organization want to win games. They want to do everything they can to win games. And I do think they'll feel like he's not compromising himself because he's going to be moving around well enough. Now, how many that is it 5? I don't know, but I'll run with that one. I will boot Hendrickson because I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a chance it's 0. He probably comes back at the end. I mean, just when he feels like he's totally, absolutely 100%. I think that'll be really interesting to see what that number ends up, though.
Yeah.
It really will. But I will say that he probably comes back. But I'm going to boot Hendrickson because I think there's a chance that it's 0. I have him winning 3 more. I think that there's probably 3 wins. I think they probably win 1 of the next 4. And I think they probably win 2 of the last 3. Yeah. Like the easy 3 at the end, they probably win 2 of those 3. And I don't. It's obvious that they could go 0-4 considering they're about to see Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Jackson again. Like obviously they could lose all 4 of those games, but the nature of the offense, I just think you just sneak one, and I just think they find a way to win 1 of those 4. So I have that number at 3. So I'll put that over Hendrickson, and pass on Bengals wins there. But
yeah, I mean, I said we may have seen the last of Trey, but it is a good point that if he can, I think he probably would come back at the end because he's heading into free agency as well, and he's going to want to show teams that he's healthy and he can still do it. And I think that will be meaningful to him. I mean, obviously the sack record, not the sack record, the sack title for this year is out of the question with what Myles Garrett's doing and how many games Trey has missed. But I do think he's going to want to show that he hasn't lost it. And we are about 3 weeks away from him turning 31.
Yeah. One last reminder for teams over the last few weeks against a couple of dogs as opponents, right? That you can go out there and go rack up 2 or 3 sacks to remind people this is what I look like, and then go hit free agency. That feels like that's where this one goes. If you want to see perhaps Trey Hendrickson playing, perhaps Joe Burrow playing, you can win Bengals Ravens tickets. So the giveaway form is in the show notes or at thegrowlerpodcast.com. Just takes 2 minutes. You get a free quote. You don't have to buy anything. And then you have a chance to go see Bengals Ravens and know if you can get some insurance that you can fully trust. So your odds are great. Go hit that up now. Let's talk about the Jamar Chase suspension. League comes down and says that the spitting incident warranted a 1-game suspension, so he will not play against the Patriots. He is appealing. That'll be heard by Jordy Nelson, not by former Steeler Ramon Foster, which would have been pretty ridiculous. But either way, he's appealing. I don't like his chances to win the appeal. I think this is a pretty straightforward open and shut case once you see the video. And so more than likely we're going to see Jamar Chase out. No surprise there for you, right, Jay?
No, we may find that out pretty soon. Those appeals tend to be done pretty quickly. I think it's good news, not just that it's not Ramon Foster, but Jordy Nelson played wide receiver, and I think he played against Jalen Ramsey from time to time. He may know what Jalen Ramsey can do, and I still keep going back to the fact that it was a de facto suspension with Jalen Carter, but no player has ever missed an ensuing game after a spitting incident. It would be setting a new precedent. And you look at how much they fine people for taunting, and that it doesn't really fit the crime, so to speak. I don't know if a suspension for spitting is equates to what should happen for doing that. I think it's less about punitive and it's more about preventable. They don't want this to become a thing. You don't want that players to start doing that when they get frustrated. It's a really ugly look. So I think that's why it's likely to be upheld, even though we've not seen it in the past. And I don't know. It's bad news for the Bengals. They're having a hard enough time winning games. They lose Jamar for a game against New England. I was actually surprised the line didn't move more than it did. It went up a half point after his suspension was announced, but maybe that was already baked in. Everybody had seen the spitting incident. I think there was an assumption that the suspension was coming even before that line was set.
Well, it's not just about winning and playing. This is going to cost Jamar Chase a little over $500,000.
Yep.
Not cheap when you throw the game check and the active bonus or whatever in there. It's crazy. A lot of money. He's got plenty of it. There's sort of been a lot of conversation surrounding Jamar Chase with this, and Zach Taylor was kind of asked a little bit about this, and I want to bring in something that Zach Taylor said when he was sort of. The question, there were a lot of questions yesterday with him about things that revolved around Jamar, obviously, understandably so. And you consider what happened, the fallout, how big deal he is, suspension. It's a huge story. And then the question of sort of leadership. I want to point out, this is a great question by Pat Brennan from the Inquirer about the idea of eroding the professionalism that you come to expect from certain players, and Jamar's name was sort of mentioned as a part of this, and it prompted this from Zach Taylor.
It's a great question because it's something when you're losing, you have to be extremely mindful of. It's much easier to navigate when you're winning and everyone's happy and things are easy that way. It's incredibly difficult to lead when there's adversity. When you've lost 7 of your last 8 games, that's when the real work has to come in. That's where you see true leaders emerge. And it's not easy. You have to fight for it every day. I probably had 12 conversations in my office this morning because it's the foundation of everything we got to build this thing on, is our relationships and sticking together, because there's a lot of adversity here. I think Jamar Chase will go down as one of my favorite all-time players and favorite all-time leaders and everything he's about. So I keep hearing this. It's like we're trying to make something out of this situation that it's the only thing that's kind of upset me as I'm sitting in here, because for a guy that has done everything we can to build our organization around, he's been off. Not perfect. I'm not perfect. Trust me, I made plenty of mistakes yesterday. People don't see on camera. Unfortunately, his was. And so he's going to have to own up for that, and that'll be part of his journey. He's still, in some ways, he's a veteran. I think he's going to play a long time. And so when you look at the overall part of his career, this will be the beginning of his career in a lot of ways. So again, we're going to move past that, and he's a guy that we're going to continue to depend on. He's a guy I'll put at the forefront of any leadership group. I ever have for the rest of my life. When I retire, I'll bring Jamar Chase in as a board member of whatever leadership group I create to talk to people I want him to talk to. So I hope you understand my position on this, because he's a guy who's done everything he possibly could to help us win and do things the right way.
Zach Taylor there from his Monday press conference, and it just kind of stood out to me. We've heard versions of this before from Zach talking about Jamar, and we've seen this. Like, he's really been a different type of guy, but I just thought the way that he put this in the wake of this was interesting.
Yeah, it was. And it kind of goes back to, was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago? When Jamar got fined for verbally abusing an official, and Zach kind of said the same stuff there, where it was out of character for him, and that's not who he is, and he's done everything right. And Zach he gave Pat Brennan credit too. He said that's a great question right after Pat asked it, and it was an interesting, impassioned defense of the player, and not just the player, but the man. What he's meant inside the locker room, what he's meant off the field. And this is that the one part, what he said about, this is in some ways the beginning of his career. I think that's true, because this is going to follow Jamar for a long time, maybe the rest of his career. It was interesting when I was going back and looking at, the previous spitting incidents in the league, and I remembered just about all of them. It was like, oh, I remember when that happened. It's just, there's something about that act that is hard to wipe away. And it's going to be tough on Jamar. I know teams are going to bait him. This is going to, like I said, stick with him for a long time. And I do kind of appreciate Zach's honesty there, saying this is the only thing that's really bothered me, the narrative that's kind of swirling around Jamar, because that is not who he is.
Yeah, and I think specifically, it's interesting to see the fact that it's not who he's kind of become. I just feel like he has really grown a lot, and we've talked about it a decent amount on here, where I hope that we're helping people go inside and understanding that, like, I would say I'm not going to say expect it, but you would more say it's fitting in with Jamar 2-3 years ago. Like, it was there was stuff in there. He was young, like he'd be the first one to pop off after a game. You'd see more things happen in games. There was just a little bit more, I don't know, maybe erratic behavior. He's young. He came in very young. He's a highly emotional player. That has really changed. Like, he has really grown and matured into a dude who's a real leader on this team, and people that know him, the people that we talk to, and I think it's why you hear Zach being so adamant about it, have really stressed that it's been really cool to see how he has grown in that way, and being so much about the team and thoughtful about his teammates, and doing everything the right way. I mean, they've really tried to make him the centerpiece of this culture, and how he's dealt with adversity. I mean, people focused on the Chase Brown side of what happened when Chase Brown popped off a couple of weeks ago, and Zach Taylor was sort of trying to focus on the Jamar side. Like, this is exactly what you want to look like. Stay calm, be poised when things are going sideways, and address things behind closed doors with each other that way, and doing things the right way. And how you handle adversity, right? What he's kind of talking here is going to be a big part of how they figure out rebuilding this thing going forward. And I think Jamar might be damn near number one on the list right now. So one incident making people think that it should wipe out everything that he's kind of done right, I think was what sparked that.
And we saw both sides. We saw that mature leadership side in him Sunday as well, because it was early in that game when Jalen Ramsey hit him from behind. I thought in the moment it was borderline. It might have been over the line, and it could have been a flag. And Jamar just got up and went back to the huddle. He didn't do. I mean, that was 2021, 2022 Jamar, he's going to get in that guy's face, and it's going to become a thing. That's what really kind of set it off. I'm sure there was jawing that went on after that play, and it led to what happened in the third quarter. But that was one of the things where I think Jamar knew early in the game you can't do anything stupid and hurt your team. And you saw that mature side of him, and then it obviously eroded into what it became.
All right. With that said, let's bring Mo into this conversation and kind of flesh this out a little bit more. So let's do it then. Let's bring in our good friend and yours from ESPN 1530, Mo Egger. Mo, how we doing?
Oh, just wonderful. Things are going so well. Everything's great right now. We only have 7 more weeks of Bengals football in front of us. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. You know, what do you even talk about? So I guess we'll keep talking about Ja'Marr Chase today.
Oh, great.
For right now. I do have other stuff. I did say in the open of the show, we had something fun we wanted to do. We just need something fun. Okay. And so we have something fun. We will get to the most disrespectful things you can do to a human without injuring them in a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
But I want to pick up and bring you in here on the Ja'Marr Chase conversation. Did anything change for you in your opinion of Ja'Marr after the incident on Sunday?
I am a big believer in judging people by their body of work, and I am a huge believer in not judging people by their worst moment. That was the worst moment we've seen from Ja'Marr Chase, at least in the public realm. Unfortunate, regrettable, not something that anybody with any modicum of common sense could condone. Whatever punishment comes his way, he's earned. It doesn't change my opinion of Ja'Marr Chase. I look at this through the lens of a fan who does a talk show. There's never been anything about that guy that has made me feel like, man, I don't want to root for that dude. Easy player to root for. Multiple times this year, he has been lauded for demonstrating leadership capabilities in the face of some really adverse times when it feels like there's a leadership gap. He did something that you don't do. And multiple things can be true at the same time. You don't condone it. You understand that he is going to have to take whatever comes his way. I do wish he would have been after the game a little bit more forthright with what happened. I am looking forward to hearing what he has to say publicly about it. Clearly, he can't continue to maintain that he didn't do it. His coach acknowledged that he did it. But I keep coming back to I'm a big believer in not judging people by their lowest moment. I hope that's Ja'Marr Chase's lowest moment. And if it is, at the end of the day, when he's done playing here, and Zach Taylor kind of talked about this yesterday, we're going to look back on a great career, a good guy, and then mention this one regrettable thing that happened during an otherwise stellar career.
Do you worry that, I mean, I don't want to speak for Paul, but Ja'Marr is probably the most fun player to watch since I've been covering the team, and he's certainly one of the most fun to cover. Just his personality, how fun he is. Do you worry this is going to change him? Are those press conferences going to be different? Is he going to be more sullen? Is he going to be less open with the media? I kind of do worry that this is going to change him going forward. Do you have any concerns about that?
Maybe, but I would like to think that he understands he didn't do that in a private setting. He didn't do that in a locker room. He didn't do that at a bar. He did it on a football field during a game. And to me, I would like to think that Ja'Marr Chase understands that anything that happens in that arena is up for discussion, is up for being reported. And so I would like to think that he takes ownership of it. And once he does, that doesn't long-term change his personality. Look, nobody's having fun right now.
No.
I would expect just the weight of losing 7 out of 8 games to impact his mood, his demeanor, and publicly with you guys so far that hasn't happened. I would not expect Ja'Marr Chase to be doing cartwheels and be his typical self right now. But down the road, when things get good again, if he's a major reason why, which I would imagine he would be, I would like to think that the fun returns. In the short term, I don't think anybody wants to see Ja'Marr Chase laughing and yucking it up. And that's independent of the spitting incident. I don't know. I mean, to me, if his personality changes, to me, that reflects unhappiness with someone besides himself, and he only has himself to blame. So if he's pissed off that we're talking about this, or if he's upset that this was shown on the internet, or if he's upset that, he's going to be punished, he has only himself to blame. And so if he's going to decide to have a different demeanor with others, that to me reflects the fact that he's pissed off at people who are not responsible for why he is in the public's crosshairs.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, like, I don't care if he starts being different with the media. I would worry more that he would stop being an emotional player on the field. I feel like that's part of what's made him great as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes it's pushed over the line, but again, it goes back to sort of like when we talked about this through the lens of Chase Brown. Like, I want to know that you care, right? I want to know that it matters to you. I want more passion and emotional players out there. Now, I don't want anyone spitting on anybody. There should be a knowledge that that's too far, but I don't want it to take away from Jamar Chase as a player, feeling like he can be that full guy that he is on the field. Like, that would be more my concern. If all of a sudden he's like, I'm done yucking it up with the media because I can't have that face the rest of the year, fine. Like, whatever, be whoever you want to be in that regard with us. Like, I don't, be the same guy, hopefully, with your teammates, and be the same guy on the field is all that really should matter, in my opinion. I hope that doesn't change that for him. But that would be probably more my concern about an impact you could see from him going forward.
My guess is if a year from now the Bengals are 7-3 in the playoff hunt, Jamar's having a great year, you're not going to notice any change. I at the end of the day, I think everything comes down to the fact that this has been a thoroughly miserable season for all parties involved. And he's playing a game against the Steelers where it's not going great. Jalen Ramsey has a way of getting to people who are typically pretty mild-mannered. I watched A.J. Green lose his mind on the field against Jalen Ramsey, and I never thought that would happen. I think all of this comes back to the general frustration, malaise, anger, disappointment, finger pointing, whatever it is. It all comes back to the fact that this season it has gone sideways in so many ways. I will guess that if in a year the Bengals are back among the NFL's elite, and frankly, it's going to take a pretty big leap for me to think that they're going to be there in a year, that Jamar Chase is publicly, and I'm guessing privately, going to be back to his normal self. I don't know. I would like to think that with a little time between today and tomorrow and Sunday, that there's the realization, man, I screwed up. This doesn't have to define me. This is only my fault. I did what I shouldn't have done. I shouldn't have to change my personality. I shouldn't have to change how I play. I'm still one of the best players in this sport. That's not going to change. And I want to be judged by how I help the team win, what I do on the field, how good of a player I am, how good of a teammate I am, how much of a leader I am, how good of a person I am outside. And I think that's easier channeled with Jamar being the Jamar we've seen here now for 5 years.
You would talk about this being a miserable season, and all I can think of is, like, in 5 years from now, when you start, like, ripping off, what happened? What happened in 2025? And you just be like, I don't know, they lost 1 million games. Burrow got hurt. It was the worst defense in history. Jamar spit on a guy.
Yeah.
Like, it just ends up like the topper, the throwaway topper at the end.
At the end of the day, to me, I hope this ends up being like Gary Reason's touching Dave Shula's hat. Where, like, that was one of 1,000 things that happened during that otherwise miserable stretch. It didn't define it. Yeah, look,
Did you guys hear that lightning strike that felt like it actually lit up the podcast? Ddid you feel that, by the way?
No, but my dog is losing her mind right now.
Yeah,
this is what's happening outside.
I was like, I feel like it's some higher power saying enough of this. I want to make one more point, and we can move on to something more fun. I want to make one more point. Is you talking about sort of, judging by a body of work more so than one incident. Being a parent, like, I really feel this, and not from a way of my kid making the mistake, but like when you make the mistake as a parent, You know what I mean? Like where you just like it's whether it's an emotional situation or whatever around the house, you raise your voice when you shouldn't have, and you immediately recognize it like, okay, I'm doing my best to be a good parent, but that wasn't what I should have done. Like that was not right. But responding to it by being like, okay, I'm gonna go apologize. I'm going to go say something. I'm going to apologize to my kids, to my wife, whoever it affected, and say it right there in the moment, fix it, stamp it out. And that's like just as much a part of your character as anything else. So I thought what you said there about handling it the right way and not judging somebody by their lowest moment. I think there's still, I think anybody who's been a parent understands that like it matters so much to you to be doing it right, and you just not always right, and you just hope that you can handle it the right way afterwards and move forward.
100%. And by the way, for all the very reasonable criticism Zach Taylor is taking, I had no issue with how he handled the questions about Ja'Marr Chase. He stuck up. He acknowledged what had happened. Didn't try to insult our intelligence by, well, I'm not really sure. He acknowledged it, didn't condone it, and stood up for his guy. I had no. The only thing that I think should have happened is I think Ja'Marr should have walked in there at 3:00 and said, "Okay, guys, look, you want to ask me about it? Don't ask my coach. Here's what happened. I did it. Punishment's coming." That's probably not anything that realistically was ever going to happen. But I thought Zach Taylor, as boneheaded as I thought he coached the game on Sunday, I thought his handling of questions that he really shouldn't have to answer yet again, I thought he handled that like a pro. I thought he handled that like a leader, and I saw some corners of the internet criticizing him for how he handled it. He wasn't going to throw his player under the bus. He doesn't need to throw his player under the bus. He stood up for the character of Ja'Marr Chase, and he's qualified to speak of Ja'Marr Chase's character. And so I thought Zach handled that pretty well.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a problem with Ja'Marr not saying, like, declining comment yesterday. It was probably the smart thing to do. Wait until the punishment comes down. Sure. Wait until the appeals heard. And I do think we will see a contrite, apologetic Ja'Marr Chase on Wednesday.
And I wonder, I don't know, like the videos out there, did somebody pull Ja'Marr aside and go, "Hey, dude, I got a video of you spitting on Jalen Ramsey," or was he blindsided by the question? Like, I am not making excuses for him. At the end of the day, Ja'Marr, you spit on the dude, admit you spit on the dude, but was he unaware that there was a video out there and then put in a position where he felt like he was backtracking, and could something have been done to kind of prep him for? And I don't want to throw Bengals media relations people under the bus, but I wonder if there was a way to have someone pull him aside and go, "Look, Ja'Marr, this is out there. You're going to be asked about this. What do you want to say?" And I wonder, had that been the case, if his answer would have been different.
And also, it wasn't, because there was only one video, and it didn't come out until after Ja'Marr had already talked in the post game.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And I also wonder if, like if he just kind of blacked out when he was out there. Like, what? I don't know, man. A lot of stuff happened out there. Yeah. It was in the middle of a fight. Like, didn't I? Like, whether there's video or not, I just feel like now, obviously, if you could have known there was a chance, there's different ways you can handle it, but who knows what you remember? Like, I don't know. Were you in a fight? I don't know. Brick had a trident, right? Like, it's like Anchorman, like I don't know what happened out there. It was nuts out there. So I think there's an element of that to it. And let's have a little more fun. Let's lighten the mood.
Please.
Okay. Just a little, just for 5 minutes, if we can lighten the mood. Mo, we discussed this yesterday when we were texting about what to do. And we were sort of debating, like, well, what is the most disrespectful thing that you can do? Because it's always about disrespect. Spitting is about disrespect. It's disrespect.
Yes.
Right. And so we're going to take, obviously, like punching someone. We're taking injury out of this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Strictly, what is the most disrespectful things that you can do to a human without injuring them? I have sort of a long list in front of me, but I think we should try to narrow it down to maybe we can find a consensus on what like the top 3 to 5 are. Do you have a top of your list, Mo?
Well, I do have a top of my list, but I'm going to start. I'm not going to give you the top of my list, because to me, the top of my list is easily the most egregious thing in this day and age that you can do to somebody. But when we started to talk about this, I started to think about my experience over the weekend at the University of Cincinnati.
Okay.
We're on Saturday before a football game, and I'm not going to say who this person is. I got the most limp-wristed, wet fish handshake of all time.
Okay.
If you're going to do that to somebody, just kick them in the balls. There is, and look, you don't need to, I don't need a death grip. Okay. This isn't a test of strength, but if you're going to come in and I'll see, and like, not like, all right, the hand touches the hand and you're not even going to squeeze. You might as well like slide into my wife's DMs, okay? That to me, that is a level of disrespect that my dad taught me a lot of really awesome things in my life, right? Taught me like how to do some real practical stuff. I changed the oil in my car because my dad taught me how to do that. He taught me how to do a lot of cool stuff. But the number one lesson he taught me as a young man, as a teenage kid was you shake someone's hand firm. You don't come in limp, firm handshake. In the absence of that, I think less of you as a person.
Yes, that's fair. I like that. What about the limp handshake with the look over? Right?
Oh,
They're looking over you like, oh, is there anybody else here I could talk to? Like, talk about a combo. That's kind of a 1-2. That's sort of like a jab hook move to kind of really land a punch.
I've gotten that often in my life because I'm an easy person to overlook. But if the handshake is firm and you overlook me, at least you're acknowledging the basic tenet of our social construct, which is, at least I don't know how it works among women. I do not know. But a man shakes another man's hand and it's firm. Again, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be like that dude in Ocean's 11 where you've broken my hand. Just firm handshake. Make it all right. You're there, I'm there, handshake, good. If you give me the wet fish, we got problems. That's disrespectful.
Never shake a man's hand sitting down, look him in the eye, and firm handshake. That was the one thing I taught. The same thing. I didn't teach my son how to shave. He figured that out on his own. But that was one thing that I always kind of drilled into him.
Jay, you told me before that you have a few that you wanted to get to that you have done in the past. I wanna know what those are.
I got a fun one and then I've got a serious one. The serious one, especially if it's someone you know is sleeping with their spouse or their significant other. I mean, that is about as disrespectful as it can get. The fun one
about that one.
Yeah. The fun one is you are on the elevator and someone comes running and the door starts to shut and you just
let it shut on them.
I'm just gonna let it go.
That's a good one. I have a bunch of them in a list. I was gonna say, I mean, middle finger has to be. I mean, middle finger is, and maybe even the double. But I mean, middle finger is really kind of the international symbol for I do not respect you. So I feel like that probably has to be pretty high up there. And Jamar's like, yeah, you can give him the double bird. The man doesn't like the Steelers, okay? Specifically their defensive backs. We know this much. But I feel like the finger probably has to, at least if spitting's one, the finger probably has to be two. Although I really hadn't thought about sleeping with another man's wife as a way to go about this. Pretty strong.
The middle finger, yeah. I feel like the middle finger is a little bit of a lost thing because now everybody has guns. So I used to get a great amount of satisfaction over if somebody did me wrong on the highway, throwing them the bird. Now, don't know what that guy's reaction is going to be. So I feel like in the era of everybody's packing heat, you got to be a little bit more judicious with the middle finger. Now, Jay, you talked about sleeping with someone's wife. I had this on my list, but I had it framed a different way. I'm calling this the Billy Joel. So this summer, it's a Billy Joel documentary on Max. And I'm not the world's biggest Billy Joel fan, but I like a lot of his songs. And so I was told this documentary is awesome. I didn't know a lot about Billy Joel's life. I knew he was married to Christy Brinkley. I didn't really know a ton about him. So early in the documentary, we find out as he's this young, struggling musician, he moves in with his buddy and his wife and their young kid. And he ends up falling in love with his buddy's wife. And he says in the documentary, quote, I felt very guilty about it. They had a child. Felt like a home wrecker. I was just in love with a woman and I got punched in the nose, which I deserved. John was very upset. No shit, Billy. He then takes this guy's wife and kid and moves from New York to California. And we're celebrating this man. He's the piano man. His concert got canceled. You know what? F Billy Joel. This is the kind of thing. So this is not at the top of my list, but it's pretty damn near. It's one thing to sleep with a man's wife. Not good. Not advisable. Not good. It's something else entirely. This man takes you into his home. He's going to be a part of your family. You feed him. You clothe him. You take care of him financially. And what does he do to you? He takes your wife and kid and goes across the country. Billy Joel.
Billy Joel.
What are we doing?
Apparently a bad
The heart wants what the heart wants, Mo.
Yeah, apparently.
And then this poor schlep, years later, he was like making videos for Billy Joel. It's like, not, buddy, have some respect. The guy took your wife and kid and, well, golly gee, it's just one of those things. And then later on, they're collaborating with each other.
Well, okay. I was going to say, what about talking to the hand? But I feel like that feels a little insignificant now when we start talking about getting into sleeping with your wife and taking your kid. So I feel like, but what if we brought talk to the hand back? I feel like it's a nice level of disrespect. It was a thing in the 90s, 80s, maybe. Talk to the hand because the face don't want to hear it. There's usually like some sort of wagging. I feel that's really disrespectful to just put your hand in someone's face and maybe less egregious to you personally than stealing someone's wife and moving the wife and the kid across the country.
What about the Dikembe finger wag?
Finger wag. I think there's some fun in the finger wag though.
Yeah.
I think there's it's like, that's more of like I'm having fun with you, telling you no, as opposed to some of the other ones.
The most disrespectful thing that has ever happened to me at a Bengals game was I was standing up to allow a gentleman to pass me. And this has probably happened to all of us at some point as a sporting event, even in the era of the cup holder. But the beer is sitting there, and on their way out, they knock it over. And they look down, and they realize they knocked it over. And they look at you, and you look at them. And they know they're not going to replace it. And you know that they're not going to replace it. And they know that you know that you're not going to replace it. In fact, they're probably just going to go sit somewhere else. This has happened to me twice at Bengals games. You get up and, it's on me. I should pick it up, but I don't. And you walk by, you amble by, and you're doing the sidestep, and whoop, there it goes. And it's like, man, that's not a cheap drink, dude. I think it is highly disrespectful. Or you're at an establishment, you're standing there, somebody bumps into you, and, good amount of the liquid in the cup goes spilling. And then there's that same like nonverbal exchange, like, man, you just spilled a good bunch of my beer. Maybe the whole thing. You should replace it, but I know you're not. And you know you're not. And I know that you know you're not. So that to me, again, this is sort of like mano. You do that, replace the drink. Way too often in our society, that doesn't happen.
If you're of a certain age, like I was, and, I know a lot of adults still watch wrestling, but I watched wrestling in like the late 90s or whatever, and D-Generation X became a thing, and they would put an X up and then they would go down and tell you to suck it as they hit their crotch area. And that, like, everyone did that for like a 3-year period. You would just look at someone and you'd give them that gesture, that move. That one was pretty disrespectful, I feel like.
At the time that those guys were really popular, I was married to a woman who was an elementary school guidance counselor. And she would come home and report that, like, at lunch today, we had to take like 6 kids to the principal's office because they were doing the suck it thing. And it's like, wow, I don't know. Now it's the 6-7 thing that my daughter's in love with. So we need
that to go away.
We've gotten
as quickly as possible.
far more innocent than the days of suck it.
So I have one story to wrap this up that I think you will appreciate, Mo, and I'm pretty sure I've actually told you this before. But back in the day, when I was covering the University of Georgia, we were at the SEC Media Days. This is like the late 2000s, probably 2008, maybe. And we had a long day of doing whatever, and my buddy and I were ready to go out and put our drinking shoes on and hit the town at SEC Media Days. And so we're there. You're in that hotel, and when you're in the hotel at SEC Media Days, it's like everybody's in there.
Mhm.
And so we go down, the elevator doors open, and we start to walk, not recognizing that right there coming in is Tommy Tuberville.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
And there's Tommy Tuberville. And he gives us a hello, boys. And we just, not even thinking about him, focused on drinking, just walked right by him. We just snubbed him. We
Good.
offered nothing
Good.
back. We went right by him. We've ever since called him Snubberville. It's become his nickname to us. And I always kind of felt bad about it until he came to UC and we learned a lot more about Tommy Tuberville. And so Snubberville, I think snubbing someone also certainly a form of disrespect that needs to be discussed.
I once had to host an episode of the Butch Jones radio show where he was so upset with me that he did the entire show with his back turned to me. in a restaurant, right at the Montgomery Inn. So you had all these folks there listening to Butch spin his wisdom as to how to hold the rope and represent the sea. And he was so upset. I don't remember what he was upset with, but literally I'm here. The late, great Jim Kelly is over there. Butch Jones is between us. And he spent the entire, I talked to his back for the entire show. And you can't say anything. Like I can't say, we'll be back with more of Butch Jones.
Mo,
back.
thanks for joining us here on the Growler. It's been great to have you.
Yeah.
Get the hell out.
I do have to me what is the pinnacle of disrespect as far as I'm concerned. Okay.
All right.
If I send you a text, and it could be about anything. It could be about something silly. It could be a meme. It could be something informative. It could be a question. It could be a professional text. It could be a personal text. If you respond with K,
Mm-hmm.
I deserve the right to come to your house and punch you in the face. I have had a friendship over the last 7 years that is completely dissolved. And there's probably a lot of reasons why. But when I look back on it and I go, when did I start to realize that maybe this person and I weren't going to be long-term friends? It's when I go back in the text and I see the time that I texted this person something and he wrote back, okay. If you think so little of a person that you can't write, okay. And by the way, its cousin is the thumbs up emoji. I don't know why. But if I write you something and you reply with the thumbs up emoji, it's not as bad as K. It's not my favorite. Don't like it. I think we're in a murky area there, but there's no ambiguity. If you write back to someone K, I don't care if it's if you're in the middle of like a high-end meeting, there's a lot going on. Just don't write back. Just don't write anything or write okay. Okay is fine. K, shove that shit. Like,
yeah. By the way, with the thumbs up, what if it was like a smiley face little emoji? Is it any of the little drop-in emojis, or is it just the thumbs up that you find disrespectful?
The thumbs up to me is a little bit of a middle finger, but it should just be the middle finger emoji, right?
Oh, I disagree.
I feel like professionally, the little thumbs up thing is more of a way to be like, gotcha, sounds good. I'm in.
Yeah,
right.
Let's
I
end
feel
it.
like
We
it's
don't have
much
to
more,
keep going.
K is definitely disrespectful.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even put those in the same stratosphere. And maybe that's me. And maybe you're just saying this because you've personally resented all the times that I've given you the thumbs up emoji back over text. Maybe that's what this is about. This is more of an intervention than a podcast.
You are a little bit of a thumbs up guy, aren't you?
I am a thumbs upper.
It doesn't bother me as much. But if you ever write back K,
I may have to go search our text. I don't think I've ever K'd in my life. I certainly hope
neither of you have. But because had you, I would have discontinued the friendship, the relationship. And it. That is if my wife ever wrote back K, I will call an attorney. Like it's over. Done. You're sending me a message. You don't think enough of me to write okay. Legitimately. In our absolutely broken social construct, this is the one thing that has to hold us together. These two things. One, you don't spit on people. Two, you text somebody anything besides K.
Right.
Who started that? Whoever started that should be beaten.
Jalen Ramsey texts Jamar Chase, we should probably try to talk this out this week. And Jamar just sends back K. Perfect. That's what we need. Mo, I'm so glad we did this. This was much better than talking about potentially firing everyone. At least for a moment, we could take a little break from that. Maybe that topic will come out when I join you this afternoon at Oakley Greens from 3 to 4. I look forward to that. And we'll talk to you later, buddy. Thumbs up on that one.
Seven more games.
7 more games.
Can't
Let's
wait
do
to
it.
see what's next. See you guys.
All right.
See ya.
All right, Jay, where do we go from here? We're just delightfully so far off track. I couldn't be happier about it. I hope everybody needed that as much as I feel like we did. No one cares about us. I don't care. Like we enjoy what we do, but man, it's hard to keep having to write these just like awful things and cover be in these awful locker rooms. And everything is just sideways. Well, let's try to just take a little break from it and have some fun for a second, which we just did. So I enjoyed that. I do want to give a quick note to Ryan Townsend, who sent in a great question that you asked us to discuss on PD&J. I had it here on the rundown. And because we spent, 20 minutes on Sleeping with People's Wives and Kay and Billy Joel and everything else, we don't really have a good spot for it now. We will get to it. Maybe on the prediction show we will. It was a great question. And we had another thing that Zach Taylor said from Monday's press conference. We'll get to it all. But for now, I don't really have a place for it now. And we just want to get into all our stuff. So, Jay, do you have an orgy of stats for me?
I do. So what would you prefer first? Third down stats, scoring points allowed stats, or missed tackle stats?
Let's save missed tackles for the end to get us into the growler bet. But give me some scoring stats.
Okay, so we've already talked about it. 9 straight games allowing 27 points or more ties the NFL record. So the Bengals are there. They've had 5 straight games allowing 14 or more points in the fourth quarter. It almost seems impossible, but here we go. That is officially an NFL record.
Yay!
The one thing I wanted, the Baltimore Colts down there, why does it say that streak is active when it was in 1950? I don't know. That there's a little glitch there with Pro Football Reference, but yeah, you've got the 1961 Raiders and some of this, not even these teams pre-Super Bowl era were able to do that. So that is an NFL record. And then I got to think, well, if you're giving up that many points in the fourth quarter, you're probably giving up a lot of points in the second half. They've gone 6 straight games allowing 17 or more in the second half. Where does that rank?
Let me guess.
Again, tied for an NFL record with 5. You got 1, 2, 4 other teams there that have done it. None all that recently. The 2012 Lions were the most recent team to do it. And then you go 97 Bears, 80 Seahawks, 75 Jets. So 17 or more on Sunday against the Patriots, what seems pretty likely, will put them again as the sole owner of an NFL futility record.
Oh, something to root for, Jay. Something to root for.
Yeah.
Really excited about that. If you go back and check out the rewatch show, I dropped in the stats that I also tweeted out yesterday. To me, so much of this historic defensive futility, I was looking at the second halves of games, and True Media goes back to 2000 and looking, they're the worst this century in EPA per play, points per drive, EPA per drive, defensive success percentage, all of these things. It's not just that they're the worst, and that matters that they're the worst in all of them. It's that the second worst team isn't even close to them. I mean, they're so far beyond the worst that this league has seen in the last 25 years, specifically in the second half, which, by the way, if you want some entertainment and if you're sticking around here now this far, and I'm sure you do, Charlie decided that he just wanted to poke the bear and get me going on rewatch yesterday, and I did. And so it was all based around the effort in tackling stuff and the stats in the second half. And so it kind of went there. So if you want some entertainment, check out all of rewatch, which is up on the channel. You might enjoy that. Charlie was enjoying himself a little too much, I think, getting me going late in that show. So congrats to you, Charlie. You win. You won this round. I'll get you next time, Goldsmith. All right, keep going with the stats. What else do we got?
Okay, so we have a big one from Sunday. 3 times they gave up 3rd and 11 or longer. So I looked at opponents 3rd and long, 3rd and 10 or more, what the Bengals' current percentage is. I'll call this up here. So opponents have had 24 situations of 3rd down and 10 or longer, and the Bengals have given up a first down on 9 of them. That's 37.5%. That's the 3rd highest rate this century. The 07 Lions, which I believe were winless, had 38.8%, and the 2020 Titans, 37.7%. So it's just, I mean, how many players, and Al Golden talked about it yesterday. He's like, you do everything right to get in that situation. And it's so just backbreaking to be giving up those kind of conversions. And it's not like they're throwing down the field and you get a receiver open. They're throwing underneath to running backs and tight ends, knowing that you can't tackle and you can't get them to the ground, and getting 3rd down and long conversions in the easiest manner possible.
I mean, we're 10 games in to this season, and those numbers, I mean, it's kind of funny that there's not even a ton of, they can't even get him into those situations all that often. They've only got him in at 24. I
Yep.
mean, that's for not only do you rarely get them in 3rd and long, you stink when you actually do. So just add it to the list. All right. Is that all of them, or we have the missed tackles?
We got the missed tackles. So we'll go this one first. This is the most missed tackles that Sport Radar started keeping missed tackles in 2007. So 19 seasons. This is the most missed tackles through the first 10 games of the season. The 17 Chargers had the previous record at 118. The Bengals currently at 126. In the last 5 games, the Bengals have had the most tackles in the league 3 times, and were second most the last time they played Pittsburgh. So it's just week after week after week, they are at the top of the list. And that is, again, the case. That the numbers from last night's game haven't come in yet. I don't know that the Raiders or the Cowboys are going to have more than 17 missed tackles. But if you look at what happened Sunday in Pittsburgh, there were 27 players that had multiple missed tackles this week. 6 of them are Bengals. Josh Newton had 3. Geno Stone had 3. Barrett Carter had 3. Dax Hill had 2. DJ Turner had 2. Oren Burks had 2. Josh Newton barely even played in that game, and he had 3. It just keeps going. They are now Demetrius Knight, Jordan Battle, Geno Stone are the top 3 in the league in missed tackles, and Barrett Carter is up to tied for 6th, 1 missed tackle away from tying getting into that top 2. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how many times we can talk about it. It's just not getting any better, and it's historic, is what it is. And it's I don't know where they go from here. That is going to be a total tear down on that defense.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just awful. It's like I think we're at the Simpsons meme for our Simpsons people out there. Stop, he's already dead. I feel so bad even doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we keep pointing it out. I mean, DVOA comes out yesterday and is like, congratulations, the Bengals are officially the worst defense in NFL history through 10 games. Yay. Like, throw the parade. There's too many, there's nothing else to say anymore other than absolutely as bad as it could possibly get. So cool, right? There's that. I do want to say, so to piggyback onto the missed tackles, we should get into the Growler bet.
Mm-hmm.
We made that the Growler bet last week, which was what would be the combined missed tackles for the Bengals and the Steelers in this game. The Bengals, in the first game, the Bengals had 13 and the Steelers had 9. which is why, Jay, you went for a repeat of that number with your guess of 22. I said, let's prices right this thing. I'll go 23 and take everything over top of it. And I was proven correct because there were 29 missed tackles in this game. The Bengals missed 17. They damn near got to the combined number by themselves. The Bengals missed 17 tackles, according to Sport Radar, in this game. And that's, Sport Radar is pretty judicious, more so than PFF and some other places, in terms of how they dole them out. And so 17 is a very large number for a team to have in this game. So the total number being 29, and a bunch of you put in that, it was nearly as high as anybody got, except for our obvious submissions of people saying that there would be 69 missed tackles in the game, of course. But so nearly as high as anybody went. But shout out to Andy Bax. Andy Bax guesses 29, nails it right on the number. Congratulations to you for understanding just how ugly it could be and being incredibly pessimistic about that quandary. Good for you, Andy. You deserve it. Drinks on us at any one of our live shows. Just send an email. Let us know when you're going to come, and we'll make sure we are ready for you, or we can work out some other circumstances if you're unable to make it. So anyway, shout out to you, Andy. Well done.
I believe he's a repeat winner. I believe Andy Bax has won before.
Wow.
Not this year, but in the past. I remember that name from previous Growler bets.
It's possible. I mean,
he can let us know.
We have some regulars up there that have come through. I do want to give a shout out to the subject headers this week. I think we sort of played right into your hands. The missed tackles, all of what's going on is just it's comical. If you can't laugh, then you have problems right now. Okay, you've just got to be able to laugh at it. You guys did a great job with it. As I said, I always appreciate when you reference other shows, other episodes, things that we've talked about, and you guys have come through certainly in that. Andy Kalina, my Growler bet guess will be an apocalyptically high number of missed tackles, which is a shout out to last week's Who Dey Light, where we had somebody who sent an email in that claimed to be apocalyptically high at the top of it. And they certainly sound like they were. So shout out to you, Andy, for that. Tony Durr, I like this one. We growlered, we missed tackles. It's really good. I like that. Mike Dumbald says, are these guys going to tackle us, Walter? No, Donnie. These are Bengals defenders. A great Lebowski reference there from you, Mike. Appreciate that. We can cross sports too. Pat Johnson, more whiffs than Aristides Aquino. I like that. Well done. Shout out to the Punisher. Give a flex for that one. Let's see. I don't know why this one cracked me up. Tyler Skull McWilliams, this Growler bet sucks. I will destroy you on Yelp. Yeah, that's kind of what people do now. They just go and give you a bad review. That's what it is. The Carl Weathers Memorial bet, another good drop in there to shout out to the long begotten history of me thinking that Carl Weathers was dead when he was very much with us, and RIP now. And Ray White, the King, ends it with K-Ball Growler Hunters after the K-pop Demon Hunters conversations that we had at the end of Who Dey Light last week, and then the K-Ball discussion that Jay and I had on last PD&Jay. That is working 2 different episodes together.
Yeah, pretty good.
Very well done. That's why you're the best, Ray White. Thanks to everybody that sent in their submissions to the Growler bet this week. Certainly appreciated them. All right. Do you have some trivia before we get into Arby's?
I do. So it's kind of along the line of sad stats. The Bengals currently are ranked 32nd in total defense. They are 32nd in rushing defense. They are 32nd in scoring defense, and they are 31st in passing defense.
Come on, passing defense. What are they doing? That's DJ Turner's fault.
In the Super Bowl era, how many teams have finished dead last in both rushing defense and passing defense?
How many? I mean, it feels like it could happen. If you're just overall bad, it feels like it should happen. But you're right. Usually it's like there's one aspect of it that's truly awful, and teams just hammer you that way over and over again because they don't need to do the other thing. But here they can just do whatever they want. 3?
1.
Just one?
the 1997 Raiders, they gave up 241.9 passing yards per game, 140.4 rushing yards per game. There were 30 teams in the league that year. They were also 28th in scoring defense, 0.4 points away from the trifecta. The Bengals are, I mean, I feel like the trifecta is in play here. That there's a real shot they could do it. You mentioned it, the passing defense. The Steelers are dead last, 261.7 per game. The Bengals are at 257.3, so 4.4 yards per game more in the passing defense, and they could pull off the worst trifecta in NFL history.
Well, you know what? Steelers defense in the secondary maybe settling down a little bit. They've kind of maybe got some settling in their secondary room, so perhaps there's some hope that the Bengals could do it. How about some trivia back to you? Who was the head coach of the 1997 Oakland Raiders?
Well, I have the defensive coordinator, and there's a parallel there because those Raiders were 3-4, and then the wheels totally fell off, just like this team was 3-4. Let's see here. I think it was Tom Cable. The defensive coordinator was no.
1997. It was Joe Bugle.
That's right. Yes.
Shout
Fred
out
Whittingham was the defensive coordinator, and he never coached in the NFL again. He was 58 at the time, but that was the last year as an NFL coach for him.
Joe Bugle, rest in peace, passed away in 2020. But that year, not one to remember for the Raiders. But that's kind of a new team. I was curious because I feel like we reference a lot of these same bad defenses of all time. The 66 Giants, the 18 Bengals, the 20 Lions have been showing up, 08 Denver. Some of these teams seem to kind of repeat in all of these stats. I feel like 97 Raiders is a new one. So way to bring in some other teams that have experienced some futility. It's good stuff. I like that.
Good digging.
Really expanding. All right. On that note, let's get into a little bit of Arby's. What do you got for Arby's for me? Anything? Is it from the trip to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it is. I know Bengal fans like to hate everything Pittsburgh, but I just want to give a shout out to the Pittsburgh PR staff, and we talked about this on the drive home. Just everything about that experience was great. That the food was great. That they give you stats after every quarter. Not a lot of teams do that anymore. It's all digital and online. The quotes, the most important thing, the quotes at the end of the game, they were so fast in getting those out. That really helps us do our job. And then Bert Loudon, the PR director there, every time we go to Pittsburgh, he comes down, chats with us, sees how we're doing. And no other PR director in the league does that. I just thought it was great, but you can never pitch a perfect game. There was one major beef, and we're packing up and we're getting ready to leave. And I go back into the lunch area or the food area, and there's a cooler just stocked full of bottled water, and I go to open it and it's locked. What? I mean, are they afraid that the writers are just going to empty out the press box cooler? And
how many waters were you going to take, Jay?
2, because they were like little 10 ounces. They
really,
we had a 3.5-hour drive. I wanted some water, and I didn't drink any water. We never stopped. Once we started going, it's like, oh, we're making too good a time. We're not stopping for anything. So I thought, I get it if they shut the coffee down and they turn the pop machine off and all that makes sense. But you can't leave the cooler open and let people have a little water for the road.
Because of people like you, Jay.
Oh, come on.
Okay, that's why. Look, you were about to stuff a backpack full of 10-ounce waters, weren't you?
No, 2. That's all I wanted. I'd have been happy with 1.
Fair. I will say also, it's often very cold when you go to Pittsburgh. Like I just feel like the parking lot where the media lot is up this little hill, kind of on the other side of the highway. They have a shuttle that they sit right outside of the door where you have to come out of, that just sits there just for the sake of waiting for you and takes you right up the hill so you can get right to your car in case it's cold or you don't want to walk the hill, or maybe you struggle walk, whatever it is. That it's the extra stuff, the extra touches that you notice. Like, just very much appreciated what they do there. Pittsburgh, an incredible experience. I will add this to our Pittsburgh experience. Shout out to the creepy Airbnb that we ended up in. So I just want to say, so normally we're obviously in hotels, but for whatever reason, it sounded like there were a lot of events going on. You had Notre Dame.
Notre
Pitt was happening on Saturday. All of it put to where it was like impossible to get a hotel in Pittsburgh, and or if you did, you'd have to pay like $1,000. So well, me and Jay and Skinny, we're all driving up together. So why don't we just go ahead and we'll just get an Airbnb. It's one night, just need 3 bedrooms. Be happy to do it. It's fine. And so we get one, and it says it's a lovely spot out in nature, serene in nature. And I'm like, in nature, it just looks like a little 3-bedroom condo, but so be it. So we get there, and we got there about 4:30. We had a dinner reservation for 7:30. And I'll be damned, it was at the end of this little neighborhood. It's this one path goes all the way down, and then you walk across a rickety bridge to get to our condo, to get to our spot, and you go in there. But we were out there, and we had time to kill, and it might be one of my favorite times on any trip, Jay. And that was, we're like, we have this time to kill. We're out. It was a gorgeous Saturday in November. We were incredibly lucky that it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? I have a cigar in my car from a golf outing from like 3 months ago. You had 2. So let's have some beers and light up some cigars and we hung out there for like 2 hours, smoked cigars, talked, had some drinks. It was just it was like a little treat, our little spot in the woods that we got to have there. And I want to shout out to the creepy Airbnb. We could have been murdered there. That's a fact. Like if you were going to look for a way to murder someone on Airbnb, it would have been this place. You're kind of locked in. Someone actually did block us in where we parked, so we were stuck back there. It was very much off the beaten path. There were 2 other random condos that people were in, and there were some questionable characters down there. But I didn't care because I was in such a good mood from sitting around having a couple of drinks and smoking cigars with the boys that it was just a great time. So I want to shout out that creepy Airbnb. Everything went just swimmingly with it. So thanks to you.
If you saw me looking down while you were talking about that, I was getting the photo called up here to. There we go. There's Skinny coming across the bridge, and that's one view. And then here's the view of the porch as we were. Right behind Paul's car there is where we ended up getting blocked in, and it was great sitting on the porch having a cigar. Great day. I thought we'd replicate it after dinner, and we come back, and I go in the house and I crack a beer and I grab 3 cigars and sit on the porch and wait for you guys. And nope, neither one of you ever came back out. You guys went in and decided you had enough, and I sat out there all by myself and smoked my last cigar of the night and drank my last beer.
I specifically remember having plans to come back out. That was my plan, to come back out at one point, and then I woke up and it was 2 a.m. and I was like, oh well. Guess I didn't pull that off. Oh well, but it was a great time in Pittsburgh. I like going to Pittsburgh. We've mentioned it before. We have our good dinner spot that we go to every time, and we had a great time there. And the Airbnb worked out. Hopefully, I'll probably still go back to hotel next time.
Yeah,
but this one was glorious. So good trip to Pittsburgh. All right, thanks to everybody that stuck in with us today. We're here. We sometimes you just need these kinds of episodes, Jay.
Yeah.
Like it's been a long, hard road. There's a lot of really serious stuff happening. We've talked about it on the walkout. We talked about it on rewatch yesterday. We'll get to it more. And I know Who Dey Light's coming too, but it just felt like let's have some fun today. So we got to the serious topics. We had a little bit of fun. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Maybe you needed it. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you turned us off. You kept scrolling to see when we'd be done talking about dead fish hands and sleeping with wives and Billy Joel and everything. And we never really did. And so maybe you turned us off. That's fine too. We're here. We'll be back here for you either way. So thanks everybody for watching and for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.
Okay.